The moment we have been waiting for. I am Will Scott. Welcome in to Texans Today by Chat Sports. The Houston Texans 2023 schedule has been released. It is arguably the most anticipated season that we have seen in a long time in Houston. New head coach DeMeco Ryans, new quarterback C.J. Stroud, and just a re-energized fan base as well in Houston. We'll get into the schedule here in a second. But first, predict the Texans' record in 2023. It's been a disappointing couple of years. Can they put together a good season under new head coach DeMeco Ryans? Let me know your Texans' record prediction down in the comment section. We begin week 1 at Baltimore. That is going to be a tough first game for this football team. Week 2, they face the Indianapolis Colts. That is going to be the home opener, so you're going to have Anthony Richardson against C.J. Stroud. The Jacksonville Jaguars are your week 3 opponent. That game is in Duval. And then week 4, you take on the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. So away, and home to start the season here, your first 4 weeks. Then you go to Atlanta in week 5. That might be a good chance for the Texans to get a win there. Week 6, you face producer Trace Gerard's New Orleans Saints. Week 7 is the bye week. That's always a good week to have a bye after your first 6 games. And then week 8, you take on the Carolina Panthers in Carolina. Bryce Young against C.J. Stroud. That's going to be awesome. Week 9, you take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Week 10, you have a meeting with the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. Week 11, you face the Arizona Cardinals. That game is at home. Week 12, you take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, your division rival. That game in Houston. And then week 13, against the Denver Broncos in H-Town. Sean Payton interviewed for the Texans job. He ends up in Denver and will be coming to Houston week 13. Week 14, you face the New York Jets at MetLife Stadium. Week 15, you have a meeting with your division rival Titans in Tennessee. Week 16, you face the Cleveland Browns. Week 17, you are going to be taking on the Tennessee Titans. So 2 of those 3 weeks, you're facing the Titans. And then the regular season finale, much like last year, is in Indianapolis against the Colts. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want more Texans news and rumors videos. Hit that subscribe button below. We just recently relaunched our Texans channel here at Chat Sports before the draft, trying to get you guys more content. The more subscribers we get, the more content you get. Let's talk about week 1 here first. We'll go matchup by matchup here. That first game going to be in Baltimore. That's going to be tough. You have a Ravens team that made the playoffs last year. Lamar Jackson's back healthy. He just signed the extension. That's certainly going to be a tough first game for C.J. Stroud against that Ravens defense. Week 2, definitely a more winnable game. You're facing an Indianapolis Colts team that also has a rookie quarterback in Anthony Richardson. Now, I don't think they should start Richardson right away. I don't think he's ready, but they probably will. So it's probably going to be the 4th overall pick in Richardson against the 2nd overall pick in C.J. Stroud. Week 3, you go to Jacksonville to take on the reigning division champ Jaguars. They're expected to be even better than they were last year. And then you face the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 4. Kenny Pickett against C.J. Stroud there. I think that's a winnable game. The Steelers had a decent year last year, winning 9 games, but I certainly think that's a game that the Houston Texans can win. I also think they can win this game in Atlanta week 5. I just don't think that Desmond Ridder is the guy. Again, that's a winnable game when you're talking about this Texans schedule. Week 6, you host the New Orleans Saints. They have a new quarterback as well in Derek Carr. It's probably going to be Derek Carr against C.J. Stroud there in week 6. Now, can the Texans shock the world and make the playoffs this season? Type Y for yes or type in for no down in the comment section. Can they? And will they? That's a different question. So can they? It's possible. It's going to be tough, but I think this Texans team is going to be much improved, and I think you would agree. This might be the most intriguing matchup of the entire season. The Texans at the Carolina Panthers, because it is C.J. Stroud against Bryce Young, the number 2 overall pick, against the number 1 overall pick. Those two have been very close friends since high school. Now they will be taking on each other in the Week 8 matchup. So this will be the first NFL meeting between those two. Week 9, you face another NFC South team, in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They finished 8-9 last year. They lost Tom Brady. They lost Shaq Mason. Thank you for Shaq Mason, Tampa Bay. So that's a game that I think the Texans are going to win, quite frankly. Week 10, you take on the Cincinnati Bengals. That game is at Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati. That's going to be a very difficult game to win if you are the Texans. This is more doable. You face the Cardinals at home here in Week 11. They finished 4-13. Jonathan Gannon is their new head coach. I think we're all thankful that the Texans hired DeMeco Ryans instead. They were looking at Jonathan Gannon. Week 12, you face the Jacksonville Jaguars. That game is at home. This is a game that you look at and you're like, man, if the Texans are in a decent position after the first 11 weeks, that could be a huge game. What opponent worries you the most? Let me know down in the comments section. There's two games I'm looking at that are just going to be tough. Starting with the Cincinnati, I'll say this first. The Cincinnati Bengals game, I just don't think that's a game that Houston can win. But also, you got to go to Baltimore in Week 1. That's going to be tough. But if the Texans can beat the Ravens in Week 1, that would send a statement to the entire league that the Texans are back. Week 13, you host the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton. The Broncos finished 5-12 last year, but I expect them to be improved under new head coach Sean Payton. Week 14, you go to the Meadowlands and face Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. Week 15 is your first meeting with Tennessee. You're going to face them twice late in the season. That game is in Nashville, and there's rumors that they are going to be wearing the throwback Oilers jerseys against the Texans, which, if they are allowed to do that, anybody involved with that decision should be arrested. The Texans, if they bring out the unis against the Texans, that is just a joke. That is our history in Houston. That is not their history in Nashville. I will just say that. Week 16, you face the Cleveland Browns. That game is going to be at home. So you will welcome Deshaun Watson to town once again. You faced him last year in Houston. You will face him again, and I believe the Texans will beat him this time around with new quarterback C.J. Stroud. Week 17, you host the Tennessee Titans, so back-to-back home games there. And then Week 18, your regular season finale in Indianapolis. Of course, the Texans were in Indy for Week 18 last year. They lost, or I should say they won and lost the first-round pick. So they really did lose that game against the Colts because they lost the number 1 overall pick, which they probably would have taken Bryce Young. They wind up with Stroud, but I think most of us are pretty happy that C.J. Stroud was the pick at number 2 overall. And, man, if he ends up being better than Bryce Young, maybe we look back and thank the Colts for letting us beat him that day. Predict the Texans' record in 2023. Later this weekend, I'm going to get you guys a record prediction video going game by game, telling you what game I think the Texans are going to win and what games I think the Texans are going to lose.